Hello, Dr. Weiner. I have not had bariatric surgery yet. I am still contemplating what surgery would be best for me. I have what is called pan-hypopituitarism, which has caused hypothalamic obesity and type 2 diabetes. Have you operated on anyone with pan-hypopituitarism? Obviously, I don't live in your state. I live out in California. I know surgeons out here, so I don't know how well I will respond to the surgery. I've already changed how I eat.
Okay, so this person has hypopituitarism, which is a thankfully rare condition where the pituitary gland doesn't effectively secrete hormones. The pituitary gland basically sits right behind kind of your nose and dangles off the top of the bottom of the brain, and essentially works between the hypothalamus, which is kind of a major component of your brain that regulates hormones, and then the end glands that regulate your hormones as well, like your adrenal glands or your ovaries. And the pituitary gland kind of helps regulate this interaction. So I have operated on one patient with hypopituitarism, and we actually had, there's a lot of discussion that went into the procedure choice. And we initially chose a sleeve gastrectomy for this patient. And the reason was that we were concerned because they required chronic steroid or prednisone use. And chronic steroid use can cause chronic ulcers after a gastric bypass, which are a very difficult problem. And so, we originally chose this, but then when we did their endoscopy, we found that they had a condition called Barrett's esophagus from severe heartburn, which is really related to their pituitary problem. And as a result, we ended up deciding, after an extensive conversation with their endocrinologist, to do a gastric bypass, and he actually did fairly well from that procedure. And he had pretty significant diabetes that we were able to control, and so far so good. The nice thing as well about a gastric bypass is that it is reversible if you do find yourself in a situation where for some reason you're developing chronic ulcers because of your dependence on prednisone or dexamethasone or whatever steroid you're taking. Then you can potentially reverse it and essentially prevent yourself from having continued ulcers. So, this is a very difficult question. I think not one that I can necessarily say, here's what you should do in a video. This is something where you really have to work with your bariatric surgeon. They need to speak with your endocrinologist, and you guys need to weigh the risks and benefits here, because you really don't have any risk-free options. No one has risk-free options when they're considering bariatric surgery, but I think in some circumstances there's a lot of, well, if we go this way we have this problem, and if we go this way we have that problem. A gastric bypass does have that risk of developing an ulcer from chronic steroid use. A sleeve gastrectomy is not as effective of a surgery. We're already dealing with some hormonal issues. We may not get as much weight loss as we want, and we may end up with some weight regain and not fully eliminate diabetes and some of the other conditions that you may be hoping to improve with surgery. So we've got kind of risks with both of these, and it really takes a lot of careful consideration of your individual case. I don't know if I would discourage you from proceeding with surgery, but I would certainly make sure that you really thoroughly evaluate it, which it does sound like you are doing.